Welcome, everybody, out for another edition of Weird Wednesday on BaloneyBrain.com. I'm, of course, Used Toy or John House. Joining me, as always, my co-host Daryl House or Suburban Hobo. How you doing, Daryl?
I'm just doing great. Every day it's good to be me. You keep asking week after week after week, but I'm always good. It's good to be me. I'm blessed. I really am.
Yeah, you're one of those guys who see the glass half full, so it's easy to.
I guess I am.
Yeah.
I always think tomorrow's going to be better. Well, I got some pretty interesting stories. This first one just cracked me up. This is a little bit long, but I mentioned that the lady who wrote this story, and I should have given her credit. I didn't jot down. So, ladies shaving and driving don't mix. This is a lady's story. Hope you heard about the Florida woman. Of course, this is Florida. Caused a two-vehicle wreck because she was shaving her bikini area while driving. Can't make it up. Guess that makes the time you drove with your elbows while eating a Whopper seem downright virtuous. Now, doesn't it?
Well, that I'll tell you that it seems that would take more concentration than texting and driving, which is dangerous, as we all know.
Well, at least you don't have like a sharp razor blade in your hand. Florida Highway Patrol trooper said the car, Megan Barnes. This is Megan Barnes. That name sounds kind of familiar. I'm not sure, but she was crashed into the back of a pickup truck about 45 miles an hour. This story gets so much richer as it goes on. Her reaction, I was slowed down because she was too busy grooming her hoo-ha to pay attention to the road. Ms. Barnes told the investigating officer she was on her way to a date and wanted to be ready for the visit. Still gets better than this. She wanted to look her best all over, except, well, we've seen Ms. Barnes' mug shot, and she appears to have a face that would stop a clock and raise tail with small watches. To be blunt, I don't think a perfectly groomed love rug could possibly make that much difference. I love this lady who wrote this story. It could have been worse, I suppose. Ms. Barnes could have been waxing her bikini as she drove along in her T-Bird. Fun, 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 till the police took her T-Bird away.
Wow.
Imagine the horror if she tossed the used wax strips out the window. The manatees might have tried to adopt them. I love that line. That was just too good. There's so many redneck elements in this story of Megan Barnes. But the favorite is, while performing this extremely personal grooming ritual, she asked her ex-husband to steer the car so she could concentrate. Sakina here, help me, Buford. I'm going to make it look like a lightning bolt.
Wow.
So what a guy. Not only did he hold the steering wheel so she could concentrate on prepping for her big day with another man, but when the cops arrived, he tried to switch places and claimed that he'd been driving. Trouble was, he had burns on his chest from the airbags that had deployed only on the passenger side. So to no one's particular surprise, here's where it really all comes together here. To no one's particular surprise, the Highway Patrol quickly discovered that Mrs. Barnes didn't have a valid driver's license. Oh, and the day before, she'd been convicted of DUI and driving with a suspended license. Oh, and her car had been seized and had no insurance or registration. Oh, and she was on probation. Oh, and she's a flippin' lunatic, albeit an impeccably groomed one.
Well, I've got a
Great
little
story.
I've got a little trimming the lawn story as well, but this one actually is more straight ahead. Brian Remley.
We should really tell our audience that we really don't talk about these stories before we jump on here. We just collect some stuff and we jump in here usually cold turkey and so the fact that our stories line up from time to time does not have any preconceived expectations on them. All right, shoot.
Brian Remley, 25, allegedly broke into a couple's home in St. Petersburg, Florida, but then he tried to convince the homeowners to let him go free if he'd mow their lawn. At 4:30 in the morning, the guy broke into the house. Both the husband and wife both have guns and don't leave the bedroom without them. So the guy started to charge the man while the wife dialed 911, and he fired a couple shots at the guy, who then gave up, and they held him at gunpoint until police arrived. Well, before the police got there, the alleged criminal here,
the perp,
Remley, offered to cut their grass if they let him escape. So he was carrying a small knife and was arrested and charged with armed and residential burglary.
You had to cut my grass till hell freezes over, pal. Well, it sounds like he's going to need a good attorney, and I have an attorney story here about a lawyer who habitually appears in court without socks, and he's facing sanctions, including possible fines if he shows up again without them in one Indiana court. Blackford Circuit Judge Dean Young issued on August 25th an order directing attorney Todd Glickfield of Marion to wear appropriate business attire, including socks and a tie, in future proceedings in Young's Hartford City courtroom. Glickfield appeared without socks in Young's court on August 22nd. The order says that during a break-in and proceedings, the court advised Glickfield that he wasn't appropriately dressed as required by court rules. The order says Glickfield replied, "I hate socks." The order also says Glickfield previously appeared in court without a tie and with an open-collared shirt. Oh, my. A message seeking comment was left Wednesday at Glickfield's office. There's been no return of that call as of yet. We have bigger fish to fry.
I agree wholeheartedly. They ought to go into some of the Appalachian courtrooms. People down there, some of them literally don't wear shoes to court. So
felt bad about the man who had no shoes. I saw a man who had no feet.
Well, I've got a fashion story, too. Police say Sean Lee Canfield, 25, walked into a Chase Bank on Saturday afternoon and handed a teller a card demanding cash. Now, this guy has tattoos all over his face, so once the teller gave a description, a pretty good description, they were able to find a guy matching this description. So they brought him in for questioning. And what happened as he was walking up the stairs, money started falling out of his pants. The $2,748 had been stolen from the Chase Bank. And on his way upstairs, $2,414 happened to fall out. After police questioning, Canfield stood up, and an additional $334 fell out of his pants.
I'm loving it, the stupid criminals in this crazy world. Well, this is my final story, and I did like this a lot. This is, we think about so many things that are out of control, the legal system, our government, the medical system in this country. Here's just one more with the education. We pick on the education a lot, but this is just so stupid. Students and parents at Parisian Springs State School are flipping out after officials banned unsupervised playground cartwheels and handstands to prevent injuries. Kids, no cartwheels, no handstands, no fun. All students have been advised that under no circumstances are they allowed to perform cartwheels, handstands, or any other type of gymnastics move at school unless they are properly supervised by a trained physical education teacher. The news site reports the announcement caused a stir, and left many parents wondering what would be next on the bandwagon. Not the band, but the bandwagon. When are we going to let kids just be kids? Local government minister David Crisafulli questioned. I respect the right of the school to protect their students, but I also respect the right of the children to have a happy childhood, and surely we can find a middle ground in all of this. Now, one parent commented that her 6-year-old son is convinced the silly rule is designed to suck all of the fun out of school. Everything is becoming more and more strict, and they are allowed to be kids less and less. She said. She added, "I know a lot of parents also feel it's ridiculous." Others, like parent Melissa Forrester, contend that the cartwheel ban is simply the latest in a line of other no-fun policies of the school district. Her children are banned from playing with their friends immediately before or after class. They have to sit quietly and wait in designated areas or in their classrooms for school to begin. If our children fell off playground equipment, would they take that away too?
Let kids be kids.
Let them, please. They survive from...
I've got one of a school doing the right thing, though. A Florida, and see, all Florida stories today. What is up with that?
I love Florida.
A Florida mom's blood alcohol level was more than 5 times the legal limit when she drove to an elementary school to pick up a child. Renata Congleton, 27, registered a BAC of .413.
Isn't that legally dead?
I think it is. After she was arrested, but not before attacking officers and smashing up her vehicle. She apparently showed up at the school to pick up a child. Obviously at point 413, the teachers kind of suspected that she was under the influence, so they called police. And so she got out of school before the police got there, before she careened into 2 other vehicles on her way home. So officers tracked her down a short time later. She's accused of kicking and scratching arresting officers before they took her to the ground. She was slapped with charges of child neglect, battery on an officer, and resisting arrest. Bond set at a pretty reasonable $15,000.
You know, the stories just get crazier and crazier. 2 that I passed on today. One was a woman whose daughter had alcohol poisoning, and rather than calling 911, she gave her an IV. I don't know what was in the IV. I didn't read the whole story, but that was great. And there was another one where a mother with a baby, the baby was crying, she used a sex toy on the baby to try to if she gave it a little thrill, maybe it would stop crying. She said, gives me a little thrill. She said that right in the story. And the baby was torn and it was I'm crazy. Anyway, folks, it don't get no weirder than that. It's Weird Wednesdays, BaloneyBrain.com. Thank you for joining us. Your story, you are the man.
We'll see you next week, my friend.
Bye-bye.